Hey, just a quick break. I've got some great news for the Divergent States community. We've been selected for the Zendo Project's new ambassador program. So if you've been thinking about taking their SIT course, you can use our code DivergentS10 to check out for 10% off. That's DivergentS10 for 10% off. It helps support the show. You get a discount on a course that teaches real-world strategies for supporting your friends, and you show up for your community. Also, keep an eye out on our Psychonaut the next couple days. We'll be giving away a full ride scholarship to the SIT course. So, all right, guys, back to the episode. Welcome back to Divergent States. I'm Lee, your host, back with Bryan. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not a lot. Before we jump in, I kind of want to properly introduce you again for season 2. Bryan is a U.S. Marine Corps vet. He's not here as a psychedelic evangelist or expert in altered states. He's here because he's curious, he cares about people, and he's willing to ask the questions that matter when things get complicated. That perspective is important, especially in conversations like this, because a lot of the harm reduction doesn't come from bad intentions. It comes from unexamined assumptions. So today's guests are Paige West and Fletcher Burdick, founders of ETEREO Baja. They work with Iboga in a space that sits between medical oversight and ceremonial practice. That overlap raises real questions about safety, responsibility, integration, and how we talk about powerful tools without turning them into mythology. This isn't a conversation about miracle cures. It's about where systems fail, when people sometimes find relief, and what still deserves skepticism. So just remember, we're not here to sell Iboga for a retreat or a miracle cure. We're here to look honestly at what addiction treatment gets wrong, what Iboga might actually be doing, and what worries we should have about the growing luxury retreat model. So let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back. We're with ETEREO founders, Paige and Fletcher. How are you guys doing?
Great. Happy to be here.
We're great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Yeah, they work with Iboga and Ibogaine in a space that sits between medical oversight and ceremonial practice. To me, that overlap raises real questions about safety, responsibility, integration, and how we talk about these powerful tools without turning them into mythology. So it's not really a conversation about miracle cures. It's about where systems fail, where people sometimes find relief, and what still deserves skepticism. So if you were going to describe ETEREO to me in one sentence that didn't really sound like marketing copy, what would you say about that?
We are an experiential retreat center that focuses on ceremony, ritual, and tradition, along with being bridge people to honor the Western mind, experience, and nervous system.
Okay, nice. So how does what does it mean in practice? Like what happens on to someone, say day 1, day 3, and maybe 6 months later?
Sure. So, if our focus now is to talk about Iboga, so just to clarify, we actually don't offer Ibogaine.
Okay.
We only offer Iboga, but your listeners and community might know that Iboga, or rather Ibogaine, is present in Iboga. Iboga is the full spectrum root bark that has many alkaloids that really work in a powerful symbiosis. Ibogaine is an isolated alkaloid, generally semi-synthetic, and so what we work is with the whole root bark. And our Iboga retreats and sessions are primarily 8-day containers. And we start with preparation that includes medical screening and a pretty in depth review of the whole person and body. Let's see. Yeah. So day one, or like when you first make contact with us, or where do we start? Where do
I
we
was going to
start?
say, so day one, like you do kind of a workup on who they are and what they're coming in for, and so then what say like day three, like go a little down the road, what happens?
Sure. So people arrive to us, as I said, after significant preparation, and we really work from all four levels of perception, right? The physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And you arrive to us being medically cleared with an EKG. And blood work to look at the condition of your liver, kidneys, electrolytes, etc. And you arrive here in beautiful Todos Santos, Mexico, which is at the very southern tip of the Baja Peninsula. And it is a retreat environment. It's a ceremony forward, tradition forward environment. And we really work with the medicine and the Bwiti tradition as the primary perspective. And yeah, that's really where we draw the work from, and then we bring in some of those Western medical and therapeutic frameworks to support. So, day one is arrival, settling in, welcome dinner with our wonderful private chef, Chef Paul. He's a star. He specializes in fermentation.
Shout out to Chef Paul.
For sure.
Mhm.
And then on day two, actually, that's when we start really preparing for the medicine. And we ask our guests to bring questions about their life. And those questions can be past, present, future. They can be practical or spiritual, everything in between. And we work one on one with folks, with their intentions, with their questions, with their, desires, all of their joy and suffering and kind of everything in between. And we start ceremony that evening. We offer magnesium IVs, which is a protocol adopted from Ibogaine clinics. It really supports cardiac health and really whole body health, nervous system, etc. And we have medical supervision in these spaces. We essentially have every single thing an Ibogaine clinic has outside of continuous heart monitoring. And so we start ceremony in the night by the fire, and everyone, comes in really trusting the process. And eventually everyone sort of goes into a temple like environment. And then you said day three. Day three is recovery day, which is a really tender day. In Ibogaine clinics, it's often referred to as the gray day. I also know a lot of Iboga providers that call it the discovery day. We kind of fall in between those two ideas, and it's recovery day. It's a day where you're still really with the medicine, and it's a time of tenderness and introspection. You might still be in a visionary state. The Bwiti say that when you take Iboga, it's as if you're reborn. And so we sort of take care of our guests as such. We all do sort of check ins by the hour in between sleeping blocks because the whole team is up all night. And yeah, we bring them electrolytes and broth and fruit and check in and really allow them to be in their process.
Yeah, you guys talk something that stood out to me. You talk about integration a lot, so I assume that after all this, that's where the integration starts to begin, what does that look like for a patient?
So Iboga is an incredibly long acting medicine. It can last up to 36 hours. And
wow.
yes.
It's a marathon medicine for sure.
Damn. You better be ready.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a long haul.
It's a long haul for sure. And so, just like the medicine journey itself is long, the integration is really long as well. And of course, we have that immediate integration within the retreat container. We have a wonderful lead therapist named Violet, who is a licensed social worker. She specializes in internal family systems. And so we support, again, the tradition and the ceremony with parts work or IFS. And that is, again, sort of that immediate integration where we are offering kind of tools and frameworks and modalities that they can take home with them and sort of seek out. We also, we have a pretty open door policy. Integration calls are included in the retreat fee. It's never like this add on thing where, it's just cha-ching for people. It's really part of the whole process. And so we take those calls, and then we also understand our limits, and we have a really beautiful wide network of referrals that we can support our guests with should they seek longer term regular integration work. That might be a therapist, that might be a coach, that might be a somatic practitioner. And I think also a lot of the prep work, it's really bookended. The whole experience is bookended by the prep and the integration. And so really preparing people can also provide a smoother integration process.
We'll be right back.
When I started our Psychonaut, it wasn't big. It was a handful of people who cared about having better conversations, and the direction the space took came from those early voices. So I asked questions, and I listened. Together, we shaped what it became. Divergent States is in that same phase right now. So if you want to be part of shaping what this grows into, the stories we tell, the arcs we build, the tone we protect, Patreon is where that happens. All paid members hear episodes 2 weeks before they go public. Everyone's in the Discord, but paid members get access to the private rooms where deeper conversations unfold. And at the macrodose tier and up, you get full video editions. If you want to be one of the early voices that helps define this space, that's where it starts. So go to patreon.com/Divergent States. I'll see you there. Yeah, so kind of going back what we were talking earlier, you guys don't offer the Iboga. You draw the line between Ibogaine as an interrupter and Iboga as interrogation. What does that look like in practice?
So it's actually the inverse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry about that.
So we offer Iboga as opposed to Ibogaine. And, we really support the clinical environments, and that set and setting is the right choice for many people. I have a background in birth work, so it reminds me a little bit of, a family choosing to have a home birth or choosing to have a hospital birth. And if you have a home birth, you still have medical emergency protocols, and you still have oxygen, and you still have IV support and all of those things. It's just a different space and container that you are crossing this threshold with. So
yeah, I mean, both very much have their place and serve different purposes, and both have their blind spots as well. I think what the clinical model and Ibogaine clinics in particular are doing really well are providing that strong structure of safety. But structure on its own, really protects people physiologically and psychologically. But what it doesn't do is give them a map, and context is what makes an experience intelligible, and when you go to Peru for an initiation or a ceremony, or when you go to Gabon to be initiated with the Bwiti or experience Iboga, that context is really provided through story, through lineage, place, and community.
The land.
And the land. And those aren't extras. Those are the interpretive frames.
Mm-hmm.
And without them, people can leave these experiences and really struggle to integrate what just happened, because they don't have the framework to make sense of it. So yeah, I mean, this is why it's really important to honor lineage, create partnerships in that regard, and to really integrate and story and ritual, and just honor how the medicine is held traditionally. Because that context is what gives meaning, and meaning is what allows for a transformative experience to be translated into a transformed life. Ooh, that was kind of a tongue twister.
So essentially, like, you guys, not unlike the other clinics, you're still providing some of the same features, but more focused on like the wholesome overall effect, and maybe more the spirituality side of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say that's true. And we have all of the safety. It's a foundation of
Right.
safety. It's a guardian of safety. It's like implied, and you have to have structure, but you have to flow within that structure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, on the other end of that, in the ceremonial space, what I think some people miss is that the ceremony is not just a symbolic structure. It's highly functional, and in these indigenous ceremonial traditions, ceremony has built-in protocols for pacing, protection, and communal presence. And I realize to the untrained eye, those things can seem kind of vague, but they are there. And
Right.
When you remove those elements, you're creating a space where these experiences can become destabilizing. Because a medicine that opens somebody up without providing them the structural container or scaffolding to support them before, during, and after, that is not healing. That is just exposure, and exposure without support is where a lot of harm can be done in this space.
Well, and I see what you're saying there, especially about ceremony, because I think even if you've just been to church, you understand there's ceremony to it, right? And like you said, pacing, structure, certain way you're supposed to say something, and that is pretty common, I would think, even if you're just talking about like meditation, all the way to tribal ceremonies and things like that. So I can really see the value of it. I don't remember any of the neuroscience or like terminology or like the parts of the brain that actually are activated, but I think it's been proven that ceremony and prayer and things like that, regardless of where that's aimed at, it activates a specific part of your brain. So
Yeah, I think there's a paper that came out kind of on the more of the clinical side of this, but recently they're talking about how, I think with large doses of psilocybin, how it rewires the brain. It opens up this plasticity window. And it's not just a microdose; it's the full on, museum dose, and it kind of goes along with what you're talking about, is that set and setting within that plasticity window. That's really what gets hardwired in.
yeah.
So do you think are there any more risks that are higher in a ceremonial setting compared to the medicinal one or medical one?
I think that some people certainly would benefit or feel safer in a clinical, more medicalized setting, and that's okay. In our screening process, we have relationships with fellow Ibogaine clinics, and we often refer out. I think that Ibogaine clinics, as of now, are really there has been quite a focus on opiate detoxes. And that is certainly tricky territory, and it may be more beneficial for people who are undergoing a physical detox
Acute
and
withdrawal.
acute withdrawals. to be in a more medical framework. That being said, we do work with people with substance use issues. We have a different protocol and a specific way of working with them. We also won't have a retreat with 7 people detoxing from opiates. It will be a combined community of people with all different types of intentions, whereas I do find that Ibogaine clinics will often, that is often the type of clientele they're receiving. Although, of course, people seek out both Ibogaine and Iboga for a wide variety of reasons.
Okay, that kind of leads me to my next question, which is like, so who exactly do you turn away?
Mm-hmm. Well, those who have pre-existing heart conditions, arrhythmias, and other types of heart conditions. So, Iboga and Ibogaine has the ability to prolong the QT interval of the heart rate, and so it's very important that someone coming to us has a strong and healthy heart. There are certain psychological, mental health issues that we may, not accept, and it may be a pause. It may be a no, no, not right now, and it may be a full red light. Those who have liver or kidney issues, because Iboga is metabolized through the liver and it's metabolized as noribogaine. It's quite taxing on the liver, and that noribogaine actually stays in the body for 30 plus days. And so when you're speaking about, neuroplasticity, Iboga, Ibogaine, has this ability to have this prolonged neuroplasticity. Which is quite powerful. But yeah, so people that sort of fall into those categories. And then, yeah, preparation and readiness, I think, is incredibly nuanced. It's not only the physical body and the medical contraindications, although, there's certainly a long list of medications that people need to taper off under the care of their own doctor and their own medical provider prior to coming to us. Our medical, the person who does our medical reviews, actually has a background in as a pharmacist, so she can really provide a lot of education and resources on how to support people. And yeah, I think there's also, the ability to feel open to a spiritual experience, having a sense of openness. Although I will say many people who come to Iboga have often tried many modalities, and they may be, sort of at the end of the road and feeling like even a hint of desperation. I have certainly seen that. And that's, tricky and important, because somebody coming to us thinking that this is going to cure them or fix them, Fletcher spoke of initiations, right? Indigenous initiations. You think about that word, it's the start of something. You're initiating something. It's a doorway and a threshold that you're walking through, and there's a long road and path after that.
So would you say you're more cautious than medical clinics or less?
I think equally.
I think equally.
Equally as cautious, for sure.
I would agree. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
and I mean, we definitely don't throw around the words healed or cured or,
cure your addiction.
Yeah, cure
tricky stuff.
Addiction, for sure.
Right. Yeah, I just I wonder, because the cardiac risk, as you talked about with Iboga, is real. How do you mitigate it differently than most clinics?
So we have a doctor on site. We have nurses. I believe most clinics have, medical professional there as well. As I said, we look at the EKG. We do vitals checks as needed. As I shared, we do not have continuous heart monitoring. So even if someone if there's a red flag or a yellow flag, even, it's just no is a complete sentence, and it's very sacred, and we're not afraid to say no. So I think, again, the preparation and the blood work and the reviewing and the assessing prior really offers a lot of risk mitigation. in the space. We actually have a relationship with the local bomberos here in Todos Santos. They're first responders and firefighters, and they happily sit outside of our sessions and wait to be called in case of emergency. I actually don't know of any other clinical or ceremonial environment that has a first responder within minutes, as opposed to potentially having to drive somewhere. We also have a defibrillator and AED. We've never had a medical event, so
that's good.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself, like, how much would that suck if you had a heart attack while you were tripping balls?
Yeah.
Would not be good.
Right. Yeah, that would not
Not
be
at
good.
all.
Would not be fun.
It's incredibly sacred. It's these people are coming and trusting us with their lives. So again, we are not afraid to say no. And we really offer a boutique experience. So one of the differences too that I see with us, and different doesn't mean better or worse, it just means different. We offer a boutique experience. We have, talking about pacing, our retreat calendar is not jam packed. We do about 4 to 5 or 6 Iboga retreats a year. We are not opening, we're not a revolving door of people coming through and the panic of needing to fill beds or any of that. We have other offerings at ETEREO. So we also offer Wachuma and 5-MeO-DMT. Those are 3 medicines that we offer. And so out of respect for the medicine, for those who come to us, we want to, and just the sustainability of the medicine, the sustainability of our team, we have spaciousness between each retreat, and we really take our time in curating these retreats and bringing the right people together. And it's never like, okay, like few spots left, let's just take anyone.
And we keep the groups small and intimate, never going into double digits. You see these ceremonies with 20, 30 people, and you're like, whoa.
I feel like that'd be tough to manage.
Yeah.
Right. It's interesting you brought up the boutique experience, because you guys describe ETEREO as a conscious luxury. So do you think that the luxury makes Iboga safer, or does it risk turning serious medicine into a boutique experience? Excuse me.
I think that's such a great question.
That is a really good question.
It's a really, really great question. And we are the type of people who have a lot of range. So I can go to Gabon and be, in the dirt and in an initiation and, not drinking water for a week and having a really intense experience. Fletcher is the same with his Kyoto initiations in Peru. And I certainly enjoy comforts and a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing experience. And we have actually multiple offerings. So our 8-day Iboga retreats are often provided in, or most often provided in, a luxury container. And we also have 24 acres of land that we are developing in the area, in the desert. And it is kind of a glamping style experience. So it's much more rustic and much more stripped down. And I think that both are valuable. And I think that one has, I guess, a broader opening for certain types of people, and another is for a very specific type of person. Iboga is very physically demanding. It is taxing on the body, as I shared. And so if we are
physically, mentally, spiritually,
yes,
on all levels,
yes,
sure.
It can be quite intense. So if we take away some of the need for physical comfort and those sort of basic needs, and maybe even more, are taken care of, people really have this ability to go deep.
So would you say the comfort is more therapeutic, or is it just aesthetic?
I would say it's therapeutic. Absolutely. I find it to be therapeutic. It's very rare that somebody comes to us, with a lot of questions about the space and accommodations. People are pretty serious when they come to us,
Well, that's good. Yeah. I wonder if they had the exact same protocol, say in just more modest setting, do you think the outcomes would be worse or better or the same?
Well, we just hosted 7 people on our land. Everyone was in tents. There is a hot shower and a bathroom, but it is outdoor living and you are exposed to the elements.
Definitely.
And I had, as a provider, I experienced resistance to witnessing some of the discomfort, and that was from an internal perspective. Everyone who came to this retreat consented to the experience. They knew that they were going to be in a camping environment, but we really saw the difference and how powerful it is, and how when you are, sure, maybe a modest setting, but this particular setting, you are in a really beautiful natural setting, and the nature immersion is its own aesthetic. It's its own form of luxury, and it really holds the space. So if we're going to go modest and rustic, we want the Mother Earth to be the aesthetic piece.
Do you think there's a risk that insulation from the real world there, though, delays some of the harder work that people need to get done?
Well, I think people are going to a retreat.
Yeah.
And they know that it is just that. They're taking a pause from the busyness and the fullness and the intensity.
Yeah, I mean, I think on the contrary, actually, it does give you that space and allow you to really drop in and be with your intentions for why you're there, without those distractions
of to-do lists and parenting and work and all of these things. So you get to take this moment. And much of the time people are very excited to get back to their life and implement, what they have learned.
That makes sense. Kind of gives them a little more perspective being away. Nice. So yeah, you guys argue integration is where a lot of clinics fail. What do you guys do specifically that's different? And how do you gauge to see how that works?
We are very case by case in our work.
It's not a one size fits all.
It's just not a one size fits all thing. I think that each person that comes to us has a wide variety of intentions. Fletcher has a history of substance use issues, and so he really holds those who come to us with those types of intentions. What have you seen in particularly that demographic to be incredibly beneficial? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, in particular with the addiction demographic, and I mean in general, integration, I feel like has become this complex idea, and we have a tendency as humans to overcomplicate things, and so I think if you can check the few boxes of tending to your emotional state, getting outside and touching the earth, and having somebody in your sphere that you can practice relational presence with. And what I mean by relational presence is that someone's experience is witnessed, not just interpreted, and then it's reflected back to them. They're not just in their own head, and then it's integrated in relationship. So they're not just left to their own devices and processing in isolation. Because human nervous systems don't stabilize in ideas. They stabilize in relationship.
Absolutely.
Right. This is great, by the way. It reminds me, you guys are in Mexico to hear all the sounds around the back. It's awesome.
I know.
I'm sorry. I hope it's okay for the pod, but
No, I'm
completely
enjoying
unacceptable.
it.
Yeah, come as you are.
Yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm just like putting me in the setting. I'm like, oh man, kind of feel like I'm there with it. So do you guys like track the outcomes for with integration?
Again, I mean, it's
a little hard to quantify.
It is hard to quantify. I mean, we have such an open door policy. We are in communication with all of our retreat guests, and we have WhatsApp groups that are constantly firing off with these retreat groups. We have a wonderful team of integration specialists that we sort of pair people up with. And I think also with I mean, going back to that idea of all of these ways that we need to tend to ourselves, like the physical, somebody might come in, you know, with a TBI or detoxing or autoimmune issues, and so we're tracking and connecting with them on those things and how those are connected to their emotional sphere, their mental sphere. You know, another person may come in with trauma around family of origin. And yeah, I mean, we just stay connected. We really stay connected. And again, we have a referral network for longer term support. If it's, I mean, that being said, people text us a year later, you know, 6 months later, I mean, we stay in contact with people for years, really. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Do you guys use any standardized measures for depressions or cravings or trauma or anything like that?
Honestly, we don't.
Not really,
We have
no.
considered doing those things, but frankly,
Yeah.
we're busy and we want to, I mean, I can see why that data is super useful and important. And we also have real relationships with these people, and feeling it and knowing it and maintaining that connection, you know. And then again, to what Fletcher said, that this idea of relational healing, you know, part of our preparation process is we confirm that people have a community that they can speak to about this work. You know, we have a lot of people who come to us in, like, you know, 12-step communities, AA or NA, and they're like, so many people in my life would tell me that I would have to restart my sober date because I sat with this medicine. And, you know, so we'll match someone up who had them with an integration specialist that has a history and understanding of 12-step. And, you know, it's, again, we're just really not big protocol people. It's very case by case, and it's so deeply nuanced. And of course, there's certain foundations and structures to draw from.
Okay, nice. Do you do any follow-up data for, like, say 6 months out or 12 months out?
I mean, I wouldn't say, I mean, we have like spreadsheets and things that we drop in, but I wouldn't say it's anything that we can, you know, that we're tracking collectively, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like we're not looking at like outcomes and like in that way. It's more personal.
Yeah, more anecdotal than anything.
It's anecdotal.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice. I mean, but yeah, as you said, you guys get, you know, you stay in contact for, you know, months and years at times. So I guess that makes sense. Michael Alfano's story in your brief talks about incentives in pharma. Are retreat centers also part of that new incentive structure?
No. We're like,
no.
no.
I'm like confused. I was like confused there. That one stumped me.
Okay, so so what keeps you from becoming the next version of the same system that you've been critiquing?
I mean, are we? I don't know that we're critiquing. We're just doing it our own way, and we are focused on this work kind of on the ground. You know, I mean, while many people are focused on, you know, data and FDA trials and getting these things, you know, out to the masses, we again are providing a really boutique experience. And the people that come to us, you know, they find us, and we really just trust the process in that way. We're on the ground doing the work and in ceremony and up all night and traveling to Gabon for initiations, you know, really studying and doing the work in that way. It is not as much, you know, and we came down to Mexico to sort of get out of the system, right? I mean, we've been working underground in the US for quite some time, and we're able to function above ground here. And our focus really is the work and people, and looking those people in the eye and not thinking, you know, how can this, Yeah, it's
capitalize on
just
this.
how can we capitalize on this?
this.
It's just not about that for us. You know, what we're more interested in as far as the collective experience is reciprocity, you know, and deepening these relationships with the indigenous people and upholding those voices. You know, we have a very deep relationship with the Natan village. You know, they hold ceremonies simultaneously as at the same time that we do to offer spiritual protection. And we have replanted over 200 Iboga shrubs in their village. We have supported with infrastructure improvements. We helped them to get solar last year, which was a huge thing for them. They were relying on a generator that took 7 hours to get gas for. And so to us, it's again, it's really just, it's more about the land and the people than capitalizing on this treatment.
Well, I agree with you say close attention to the people. But what I would push back is, do you think the field is moving too fast without enough data?
I do think in many ways the field is moving too fast, and I find it, I mean, I'm going back to this, you know, traditional perspective where these Ibogaine clinics and other types of clinical environments, not only are they extracting one molecule that is the most beneficial, like we've done for how long with Big Pharma, it's just repeating the process, you know? And so the data and the extractions and these, you know, clinical frameworks, they are valuable and they are important, and it's just not the whole story.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of times the clinical data doesn't always tell the human side of things, and I would agree with that. We talk about it a lot on the show. So if you had to be brutally honest, what's the biggest thing we don't know about Iboga yet?
I think there's lots we don't know about Iboga.
I think there's lots we don't know about Iboga. Iboga is a trickster big time. And so it likes you to, its consciousness really likes there to be this kind of mysterious gotcha, made you look vibe. This is a little cheeky, but honestly, I don't think enough people talk about how hilarious Iboga is. Everybody's talking about this like grueling, challenging 36 hours, Mount Everest of psychedelics. I saw my deepest shadow, like all of this stuff. And I think that the healing process and the deepening process and the introspective process with this particular medicine can be hilarious and joyful and loving. And humor is something that is really important to us in our work. We bring it into ceremony, and we are always laughing and finding joy and the cosmic winks. And so I think people are not talking enough about that.
Yeah. So if someone's listening, like one of our listeners, and is considering, going to your retreat or trying Iboga, what's the single most important thing you'd want them to hear?
You are the one you've been waiting for.
Bossy.
That's a good one. Yeah, they're the one. That's good. Yeah, it's not a lot there, but it's impactful. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah, you say a lot by saying a little, you know?
Very true. Law of power.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to pause here on the public feed. If you guys want to keep going, we've got extended Patreon only segment with Paige and Fletcher. The part of the conversation a little looser, more personal, more reflective, and it gives them space to talk about what it's actually like to do this work day in and day out. If you support the show on Patreon, you can jump right into that now. And just to be clear, supporting the show is what lets us have conversations like this without turning them into ads or hype pieces. It keeps us independent and lets us stay honest even when the topics get complicated. If not, there's no worries at all. The free episode ends here. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
to go crazy. To go crazy. We about to go crazy.
Before we close out, I want to flag a couple things. If you're listening in the public feed, we've got an extended Patreon-only segment with Paige and Fletcher. That part of the conversation, a little more relaxed, a little more personal, a little less about the pressure and, pressure testing the ideas and more about the human side of the work, what keeps them grounded in it.
Right.
If you support the show on Patreon, find the segment there, patreon.com/Divergent States. As always, I want to acknowledge the Zendo Project. Zendo provides peer support and harm reduction services at festivals and events, helping people navigate difficult psychedelic experiences with care and without judgment. If you want to learn how to support someone who's having a hard time or support the people doing that work, check them out. Using our code will help you too, helps us keep the show independent. So you guys check the show notes for that if you're interested with Zendo Sit training. Bryan, you got anything on today's episode?
Yeah, I was really just taking it all in because we talked about this at the beginning. Retreats like this are commonly accessed by veterans and things like that, and so to me, when we're listening to these people talk, like I'm just trying to take in, like what is this experience like? What is it like from start to finish? Like, is this something that I see myself doing?
It's a lot. We've talked to, we've only had a couple of Iboga, practitioners on here. I think Tom Fiegel from the Beyond and then Paige and Fletcher here, but
right.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And I think what was blown my mind and what we've seen consistently across the board with the couple of folks that we've talked to about this is like the extent of the retreat and the resources that are available. And like we talked with, Tom's side is, they still have some of those ritual elements and everything. However, it seems like
they're kind of more clinical.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Paige and Fletcher's approach is more, like we discussed in the show, is more focused on, they still have those clinical resources available to you. However, they're focused more on that set and setting,
the ceremonial
kind of vibe.
side.
Yeah, the ceremonial, the structure of the ceremony. And I find both of those things very intriguing. Like they both have an element that appeals to me.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you being here for season 2. We've got a great season started, lined up. You remember to support us on Patreon, Divergent States. Otherwise, we'll talk to you next time. You guys keep exploring.
Yeah, catch you later.
Psychedelics can take you deep, but you don't have to go at it alone. Fireside Project is your trusted companion on the psychedelic path. If you're having a tough trip, their free, anonymous support line is just a call or text away at 62-FIRESIDE. Planning the journey? Fireside certified coaches offer personalized video sessions to help you prepare and integrate, starting with a free 20-minute consult. Whether you're on the path, in the middle of it, or just getting started, Fireside is here for you. Learn more at firesideproject.org.